Hey guys, Pete here. I'm starting this new channel called Pete's Creation Station. Lately I've been kind of throwing myself into this new world of imagination and how much my experience of the universe changes as I change my thoughts towards it. So there's this idea, like, let's call it objective reality, where things exist independent of the way you think about them. And for the first, 23 years of my life, I was raised on, watching Discovery Channel, and I'm pretty evidence, like, show me the evidence for this or I'll refute it, unless, logic, reason, evidence, whatever. That was the name of the game for me. Lately I've had a few experiences that have sort of changed what I value. So going from a place of logic and reason and more moving to a place of what feels the best, what feels good. And in the process of doing that, and I think I'm still going through this process of, balancing the two, being more open to ideas, I've come across some very weird, I call them synchronicities. I think that's the best word, because they're like coincidences, but coincidence implies that they happened by accident, and the more I open myself up to the idea of there being a higher power, which I was once completely against, or at least I believed, there's got to be evidence for it for me to believe it. Now I'm sort of thinking, well, I never allowed myself to see the evidence. And now that I'm allowing myself to see the evidence, and starting to, be okay, like, it's okay to let go of these, like, reason and logic is there to help you survive, but I'm not gonna die if I start, experimenting with different ways of thinking, different ways of being. So I made this channel because I want to talk about some weird stuff, some really weird stuff that's been happening. Let's see. I'll start with a little bit of how I transitioned from like how I grew or changed my thought process of reason and logic and evidence. I first got this book called, when I first moved to Victoria almost, I got this book called Being Your Higher Self by Sanaya Roman. And it's this super hippy dippy spiritual, hold your crystal and imagine your higher self bringing light to you. And I started reading and I was like, this is so stupid. This is, what the hell? Like, why did I even buy this book? So I put it on my shelf and sat there for a year. And then I went to Peru with my girlfriend, and we had some pretty interesting experiences with ayahuasca that kind of is a little bit of a, like, if my brain was like a block of ice, that I was like, nothing is entering this fortress. This is safe over here. Then it just came with this ice pick, and it's like, there's your entire structure. What you think is the physical world just melt, and then you can kind of get to see that what you thought you knew about the world might not actually be true. A lot of it is things that we're just taught. Kind of like as you grow older, you adopt the ideas of your culture until they become you, and then you protect them. And you think, like I thought I was protecting myself, but I was really just protecting my culture, is really what it was. My culture isn't necessarily like, Canadian culture. It's the culture of my family, the people I'm surrounded with, so on and so forth. So, yeah, so after this experience, I picked the book up again, and I started reading it. And this time I read it, I was just like, I'm just going to give this a try. So I did it, and I was reading it, and they would have things like, lie down and think about your higher self. Think about yourself climbing a mountain, and at the top is the symbol of your higher self, and as you reach the top, you merge with it, and it becomes one with you. And I was like, I don't really know what this means. I don't really know, but it feels good to think about. So I was just like, I'm just gonna think about this stuff. And then they started talking about this thing about sending light to people. So let's say you see someone is going through a hard time or whatever, right? And you think, I'm going to send light. So there's this whole process that you create or whatever, and you imagine their higher self receiving this light and it like filling them. And I did that. I was like, well, it can't hurt to try. So this one time I was sitting in my room right here, closed my eyes, and I thought of my buddy Chris, my roommate / friend, who was going through a pretty rough time, and I thought, I'm just going to send him light. Maybe there's a chance he'll feel better. So I closed my eyes, and I imagined him receiving light. And then I opened my eyes, and he was standing right in front of me, like right there. And I was like, whoa, that was pretty weird. I didn't tell him about it, though. So anyway, we had like a 30-minute conversation. It was pretty deep. We talked about a lot of stuff, and it was a really nice like kind of connection moment that we had together. And also he barely ever walks into my room that's like totally out of character. We usually will meet in the kitchen or in the living room or whatever, but for him to come straight into my room, like I probably can count on the number of fingers on my hand. I don't know if I'm using that expression properly. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, he doesn't do that often. So that was weird. And I was thinking, it could be just a coincidence. The next day, I got home probably about 6, 7 p.m. I was just sitting there. I was like, I haven't seen Chris all day. I think I'll send him some light. So I closed my eyes again, and I imagine myself sending him light and him receiving it and filling him with joy. And then I opened my eyes again, and he's standing right in front of me again. And I was like, that is double weird. So then we had another conversation that was pretty interesting. I still didn't tell him at this point. And then it happened again, where I was sitting the next day. It was like 8 or 9 p.m. Going home from work. I haven't seen him all day. And again, I sit, close my eyes, think of sending him light, open them, and then he's sending it. Oh, no, wait, no, that's a lie. That didn't happen. What happened was he wasn't there. And I was like, well, I guess it's just a coincidence. And then I heard the doorknob on his room jiggle. And then he opens it and he beelines straight to my room. And he's like, hey, what's up? And I was like, that's triple weird. So the next day, I was in the kitchen, and it was like probably 10 p.m. and I was like, holy shit, I haven't seen Chris all day. I didn't even know he was in the house, if he was in the house. And I closed my eyes while cooking. I was doing this while cooking, and I was like, just filling in with light and being like, yeah, that feels good. Open my eyes, look around, no Chris. Then I hear his room door jiggle, and then he comes straight to the kitchen. He's like, hey dude. And I was like, you know what I mean? It was pretty weird. And after that, it actually scared it. Like, I got scared at this weirdness that was happening. Like, I thought it would just, you know, be a little bit, but it wasn't. It was like every single time I was doing it, he would come to my room, and yeah, so that was my first kind of experience of allowing myself to open up to different ideas of the world we're living in. And ever since then, I've had a lot of weird things happen to me like that. So yeah, this is what this channel is for. It's just me talking about these ideas and the synchronicities that I've been experiencing. Yeah, anyway, there are tons more. This was back in October. Now it's May, I think. Yeah, it's May. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming, and I'm going to talk about techniques I've been using, and I talk about books that I've been reading and that have been opening my mind up a little bit. Yeah, cool. I'm excited to get this thing going. I shall see you later.